Welcome to Reggie Sports Talk. I'm your host, RJ Kruger. This past Saturday, Sunday, and Monday have been a blast for football fans. We've had some great games and some heartbreaks. This week on Reggie Sports Talk, we are going to try something new. We are going to put the whole week of football together with a special treat in the middle. With one guest, I'm going to talk about the Wildcard weekend and what the NFL has in store for us in the divisional round. And with two other guests, I'm going to talk about the college football national championship game. Join us for this adventure on this week's Reggie Sports Talk.
Awesome.
To get this mega video started, my guest and I are going to talk about the NFL Wildcard weekend in the divisional round. My guest for this mega video is apparently a fan favorite. I give you AJ Praxmeyer.
Hi, guys.
How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me back, RJ. I'm so psyched to be here again.
Oh, yeah. It'll be fun. So let's get this Wildcard weekend started right with the first matchup. In the first game we saw this weekend, the Bills took on the Colts. AJ, what were your thoughts of this game?
That game was crazy, man. I had the Bills all the way, so I was really excited. But the play, not even the play calling, the refs at the end of the game were a little bit questionable. You know, they're always a little bit tough in certain games, but they were really throwing things at the end of that one. That fumble especially, that play is blowing my mind.
Yeah. I think it was a great game. Both teams play hard, and it went down to the last drive. The Bills got hot when they needed to and were able to win the game. Allen played like a monster. He threw for 324 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also rushed for over 50 yards and a rushing TD. It took Diggs a while to get started in that game, but he ended up with 6 receptions, 128 yards, and a TD. And that last Colts drive, like you said, was very controversial. If Colts would have won that game, we'd be having a very different conversation right now.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. But like I said, good for Josh Allen. He's a great quarterback, real young, a lot of talent. I think he's going to be real big. I'm excited to see him keep going in playoffs, though.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the Bills-Colts game. Controversy at the end couldn't stop the Bills.
Yep.
But what could stop the Seattle Seahawks was apparently the LA Rams.
That
brutal,
was brutal, man. I think I've been seeing memes about Russell Wilson needing to learn how to play football. After that game, it just didn't seem like the Russell Wilson I know. His passes were off. His scrambling was bad. He was just not playing like the Russell Wilson we knew. And then Jared Goff having come in with his broken thumb. Some of those passes, like you could tell, he's not at full health, and he's still out there giving it all. So I still got a ton of respect for both sides of football. But good for the Rams, came out even being down a thumb, I guess. Jared Goff managed to throw that dub into the bucket and keep moving.
Yeah. I got a little bit of a rant. I got a little bit of beef with the Seahawks.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I entered a pick'em thing for the playoffs. And you get a point based on how many games you predict, right? So I'm still in it. But I predicted the Seahawks to beat the Rams because I thought, okay, backup quarterback, guy with a broken thumb as your other quarterback, should be an easy win for the Seahawks. Apparently not. The Seahawks played the worst game in the whole playoffs.
Yeah, it was unreal, especially from the Seahawks. It's just not something that we see, them playing as they did. They underperformed, The Seahawks franchise is a great franchise. They've got great players, great people. I just think it was a tough year for them,
Yeah.
But
one
props
thing I
to
do
the backup quarterback for the Rams. Props to him.
Yeah.
I hope he's doing well and hoping for a speedy recovery for him. But
yeah,
I hope he's proud of what happened.
Yeah, I got a lot more I want to say about the Seahawks really quick. I wrote a whole rant. Give me a second here.
Good. Let me hear it.
The Seahawks defense, who had 2 amazing players in Bobby Wagner and Jamal Adams, blew this game. First, the Seahawks were getting beat up by a backup QB. Then Adams had to hit him late and take him out of the game on a dirty hit that might ruin that man's career. Adams should definitely get fined, maybe suspended for that hit. Finally, the Seahawks played horrible again when they let Goff in. Goff had thumb surgery on his throwing hand 12 days before that game, and he He outplayed someone who was an MVP candidate and in the MVP race for most of this season. I don't even want to talk about the Seahawks offense, but don't worry, I'm going to. They got outrushed 164 yards to 136. The Rams had one rushing touchdown to the Seahawks none. And yes, Russell Wilson also got out past 169 yards to 142. The Rams did only throw to one touchdown to Russell Wilson's two. However, Russell Wilson did throw that horrible pick six. So that kind of cancels out one of his touchdowns. I'm disgusted by the Seahawks. If this is how they are going to play, I'm glad they aren't going on further in the playoffs.
I agree. I couldn't agree with everything you just said more. I think, I don't know, they just, again, just going back to the effort put out there, you could just tell. It didn't seem like they wanted it. They didn't want it more than the Rams. And for the Rams to come out and overperform and outbeat the Seahawks, especially in the condition they were in, is just incredible. And they absolutely deserve to be the ones to continue playing in this playoff run. And it sucks to say that, but things need to change at the Seahawks franchise if they want to keep being a franchise team.
Yeah. All right, before I get way too heated, let's move on to the Buccaneers in Washington, shall we?
Man, poor Washington, man. I think everyone knew going into the game that it was going to be a little bit rough. You know, you never bet against Brady, ever. It's Tom Brady. And he had a monster of a game, too. He was playing real well. Washington is just not equipped to play against a team of that caliber, I don't think. I mean, not to say they don't have good players, you know. Props to the team, props for getting this far, you know, especially from a team that's been the bottom of the league for the last 5-10 years. You know, they've been kind of a write-off. Then they changed the name to Washington Football Team, and I guess things started chugging along a little better, you know. But yeah, I'm not all surprised to see that Brady moved on in that game at all.
Yeah. Brady did have a great game, like you were saying. He threw for 380 yards and 2 T's. Something I want to touch on is this Taylor Heineke guy from Washington also had a game.
Oh, yeah, dude.
He was crazy. 300 throwing yards.
Coming out of nowhere, too, man. Yeah, especially coming from out of nowhere. He just exploded. Regardless of the outcome of that game, he should be proud of what he did and how he played. Because for a player who doesn't play in the NFL, he looked like he played in the NFL. He did a great job. I don't think he should be written off for future prospects. I think he could really be a big quarterback for a big franchise if somebody utilizes what he has. And clearly it's a lot of talent that has yet to be unlocked and put into one thing. So I think if he were to get onto a team with a good coach, with someone to direct him, and maybe even another quarterback, teach him a thing or two, I think he could be really good.
Yeah. I think Heineke should be able to compete for the starting job, especially since there's a lot of talk about Smith being done. And you cut Haskins, you have nowhere else to really turn. I think Heineke has a chance to be the starter for him next year, especially while they're rebuilding and looking maybe in the future for someone else down the line, but he could be a solution for him.
Yeah, what a time to come out, too, and come out like he did. A really explosive game. I don't know. I was just shocked to see him in there in the first play, and then at the end of the game, I found myself cheering for him. I'm like, let's go, Heineke. You're going crazy, man. Like, you know, it was a good underdog story. It was nice to watch, too.
Yeah. All right, so Titans and Ravens.
Oh, God, Titans, Ravens. You know, I don't want to say that I'm against the Ravens because I'm a Ravens guy. You know, I'm a big Lamar Jackson guy. He's big to the game. He's going to change some things, you know. But, man, let me tell you, that run at the end irked me so much because I know the Titans defense is better than to let that happen, or should be better than to let it happen, especially at a pivotal point in the game in which it did. And I just can't imagine the Titans offense is feeling great about that game either. it was just a tough come out. They played well, and they've got, again, great talent on both ends of that football. They've got Derrick Henry, Tannehill, on that end, and then Lamar Jackson and Dobbins and Snead, and everyone's over there too. So I think that game we all knew was going to be a nail biter, but I didn't think anyone actually thought Lamar was going to win the game for them. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely thought the Titans would win that game. All I know is that this has turned into a great rivalry, and I'm excited to keep seeing it happen some more. Two good young teams that can hopefully keep their core together for a few years, and we can see them keep battling it out in the playoffs. And I think that'll be fun to watch in the future, especially since they keep making each other mad by disrespecting the other team's logo.
Oh, yeah, stomping on the logo like that. Yeah. Yeah, I do like the rivalry that's spawned as a result of that. I like that a lot. I just can't help but feel bad for Derrick Henry. What a monster year he had. Not to say he hasn't in the past, but to explode in the way he did this year and to have it end so early. It's just sad to see. But I know he has many seasons ahead of him, and I can't imagine he's slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah. And this is just a weird year that you see someone like Derrick Henry have so much great offense in the regular season and then get held to, 33 rushing yards in the postseason?
It was bizarre to watch. It was. But yeah, he's got a lot ahead of him. I think he's got a bright future. He's already in that bright future. If you ask me, he's making how much money to be an absolute tank of a running back.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the game that upset me the most: the Bears versus the Saints.
I was thinking about you during this game. I was just watching Breeze, and I'm like, wow, I'm having a really tough time thinking whether RJ is happy or sad right now, because Drew Brees is just built different. He's playing like an absolute animal. And then, there was Mitch, and he just didn't. I don't know, man. Mitch is my guy. He's been my guy. I'm a huge Mitch supporter, always have been. I have a jersey, but he just kind of disappointed me this week. I definitely saw potential for a dub, especially how we played earlier in the year. Kamara was 2 weeks rusty, so he was just getting back into it. Michael Thomas's first game back, we might have a chance he may be rusty. And our defense is just one of the top-of-the-line defenses in the league, and they stomped all over us like we're a bunch of folding chairs and traffic cones on the field,
Mm-hmm.
So it was just hard to watch. And then, Wims, just that catch broke my heart more than anything in the world, man. Just right through the numbers. What a dime by Mitchell Trubisky. Be proud of that throw, man. That was a great throw. But Wims, you got to catch that one, buddy. That was a gimme after the pass you made before that.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on Anthony Miller and Gardner Johnson, man. Gardner Johnson needs to be taken out of the league. He's got to be – I was tweeting about this the other day. He's got to be so special to be punched by two Bears receivers in the same league in the same year. Like, dude, I don't know what he's saying, but it's got to be something to get him riled up.
Yeah. Let me tell you, Wentz killed me. How do you drop that ball? It's the best ball Trubisky's ever thrown in his career.
Yeah.
If Darnell Mooney's in, that's caught for a touchdown.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If that was Darnell Mooney, that's an easy catch. There's no doubt.
The Bears defense did give the Bears offense some gifts in the beginning that the Bears did nothing with. I don't want to blame the Bears defense for this game, because when time of possession and the Saints are on the field for double the time that your offense is, your defense is going to get tired.
Yeah.
I don't want to say we still held them to 24 points, even though we were on the field for 40 minutes.
Yeah. Holding the Saints to that low of a score is impressive, whether you score a touchdown or not. That's a feat as far as your defense goes, no doubt.
Yeah.
And again, it's Drew Brees. I mean, he's a legend, a living legend on the field. You you see Drew Brees lined up at quarterback, it just strikes instant fear. You're like, well, this could be really good or really bad for us, you know? So again, props to the Bears defense for sure.
Yeah.
The first half, especially, it was 7-3 going into the second half. If we had gotten our offense moving, I think the game could have been a lot different.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's just not how it went, you know?
Yeah. Also, Miller is stupid. You know, Garner Johnson's going to be chirpy. The whole Saints secondary is chirpy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They just chirp. They're like little birds and little like gnats flying around you the whole time.
Yeah.
Every 2
I thought
seconds
after
they're
that,
just chirp, 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 chirp,
yeah,
chirp.
all the time. I thought after that Wims drop, Gardner was going to say something to him. I thought if it was going to happen, that's when it would have. Gardner would have been like, "Oh, nice catch, man," or Butterfinger, and then she would have gotten bad because that was a great catch, Wims. Great job. You probably deserved a little chirping after that one. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It just came at a really random time. They just kind of blew up. And again, it doesn't surprise me. It happened last time. But that one was a little more interrogated than this one was.
Yeah. I think also, though, you see Cole Kmet getting a taunting penalty on something that he didn't even do anything on.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah. I get why the penalty was called. It looked like he was throwing it at the guy, but it was clear that he was throwing it to one of the two refs that was standing there.
Yeah.
And then he's funny. He comes out after. He said, "My mom was real upset because she knows that's not something her son would do." And I just thought that was hilarious. I said, "Good for you, Cole."
Yeah. All right. Before I get too worked up on fixing the Chicago Bears, I think we should talk about the Browns just decimating the Steelers.
Yeah, that was. I don't even know. I don't even have words for that game. I'd gone in thinking that the Steelers were just, they were what, 10-0 mid-season, 11-0.
11-0, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what a powerhouse. I don't know. The end of the season for them was tough. I'm surprised they played for a wild card. Just because of how their regular season went, they were untouchable until the very end, and things started falling apart. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not a big Browns guy either, though. So I was rooting for the Saints, but what about you? What did you think of the game?
I think the Browns had every reason to just sit down and say, "Hey, we're not going to play. 5 of our coaches have COVID. Some of our players have COVID. No one thought we'd make it this far, and we did. Let's just regroup next year when we have Kevin Stefanski and have everyone back, and we can just regroup and do something next year." But the Browns decided from the first snap of the game that they weren't going to make excuses and that they were going to capitalize on every mistake the Steelers made. They were tired of being considered the little brother and wanted to show the big brother what's up. Yeah. And I mean, that's really it. Like, the Browns had the Steelers in the first half outscored 35-10. Baker, Chubb, Hunt, Landry all had great games. After a rough start, the Steelers had a great game too. Ben settled down after a few turnovers. And then Smith, Schuster, Johnson, Washington, Ebron, Claypool all had over 50 passing yards, most of them over 100.
I won a bet for Deontay Johnson and Juju combining for 125 passing yards. I won like $13 off it.
Yeah.
So, okay. I don't know. It was just kind of hard to see the Browns leave like that, especially after a season they've had. Like you said, another team that kind of came out of nowhere. They haven't been playing great for a while now. And then them in Washington just kind of came out this year, and they're like, you know what? We're tired of being the team that is the write-off. We want to be something. And so both teams just came out this year and played their hearts out. It was hard to see the Browns go that way, just because they really did work so hard this season, and you could see it. You saw it all year. They were working hard. They were playing hard. They were in it to win it. And then just to see the unfortunate events of today, it's just tough to see it end like that,
Yeah. Well, Let's see. Yeah, the ending being the Browns having to play the Chiefs now, which
Right, yeah, exactly. And that's
yeah.
just I mean, really, that's a death wish for any team. There's not a team in the league, I don't think, that could honestly compete with a full strength, full roster Chiefs. And Andy Reid, they've become. I think they're the next dynasty in sports. I think it's going to be the Chiefs for the next 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure there's much anyone can do about it other than maybe draft Trevor Lawrence to Jacksonville and let him play with James Robinson. That's probably the closest thing you're going to get for a while. It's just even Justin Fields, either one really, get both of them out here. We'll see. But Mahomes has just capitalized on his talent, and he's the best there is right now. And there's not a question about that. So just writing their death wish like that was hard to watch. But, I mean, good for them for getting there, I guess. They're going to – I'm sure they'll give it their all next week too. Whether that's going to be enough is definitely the question that's being considered. It's just the Chiefs. That's just all there is to it,
All right, let's do some divisional round predictions. First game, the Rams play the Packers in Green Bay. They'll play at 3:35 on Saturday. Can the Rams win this game?
If the Rams win this game, that'd be huge. That'd be insane. But I don't know that I can see that happening. Will Goff be back at full strength? Do you know? Or is he still kind of healing? So, it could go either way. I mean, Rodgers has his days, I guess. But, you got Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams and all of them still lined up right there with him. It's not just Rodgers making the game happen, So I'm going to have to take the Packers on this one, as much as I hate to say that. But I don't see the Rams realistically being able to fight hard enough to make it through.
Yeah. I think the Packers win this game. The Packers are hot and hard to beat at home.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think Rodgers will have a game. Donald and Floyd might be able to get through to him a few times, but I think the Packers should win this game 28-10.
Yeah. I think that's going to be a good prediction. I'm not sure Donald and Floyd are going to be able to shut them down as much as they're going to need to, but if they can get an early sack or two, that might shake Aaron up a little bit. But right now I'm definitely saying Packers all the way.
Yeah, I want the Rams to win, but I think the Packers will unfortunately win.
Yep.
All right, Bills versus Ravens. Saturday night at 7:15, the Ravens will be coming to Buffalo.
Yeah, that's going to be a great game. I'm going to go with the Bills on this one. I like the Bills. I like what they're doing. I like how they look. I'm a big Josh Allen guy. I'm hoping he makes it all the way this year, but the Ravens are going to be a tough ask for sure. They're going to have to play hard, but I think the Bills are going to come out of this one.
Yeah. I also think the Bills will win this game. I think it will be a fun game, and I also think Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson will be putting on a clinic all night. I think both teams will play hard and score a lot. I think Allen will be able to hit Diggs and Beasley, and it will be too much for the Ravens team to stop.
I agree.
I think the Bills will win 31-21.
Yeah. I think it might be a little I don't know. I think it could go either way. I think it could be a really close game, or I think the Bills are going to blow the Ravens out.
Yeah.
I guess we'll just have to see. But for sure the Bills.
We talked about this one a little bit already. The Chiefs hosting the Browns at 2:05 on Sunday. I'm
glad they got that time slot because as much as I want the Chiefs to be the big game, this week I'm just not seeing it, man. I'm just not seeing it. The Chiefs are just going to blow them out. I don't want to say like starting your secondary in the second half, but I think it's going to be real close to it for the Browns. They'll be like, well, we're not winning this game. Let's put in our backup, see what they can do. But I mean, maybe not. Maybe Mayfield has a few cards up his sleeve. But definitely Chiefs.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs will win this game, but I think it'll be close. I think it could be a shootout, but Mahomes doesn't lose shootouts, which is why I think that the Browns will come up short in this game. I have the score being Chiefs win 42-38, but I could see anything where I think the Chiefs win by like a last second field goal just to shut the Browns down really quick.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. The last game of the divisional round, we get to see two old men battle for the third time this year.
Oh, yeah.
The Buccaneers will travel to New Orleans for a second time this year and play at 540 versus the Saints. What do you think?
Man, this is the game. This is the game that's going to be fun to watch. You got the two old timers going at it, and still two of the best. No doubt about it. With Kamara and Michael Thomas back, I think that offense could be a tough ask for the Bucs defense. But I think it's the same way the other way around with Brady, Brown, Evans. Like, I think it could be a tough ask for the defense on both ends. But I'm going to have to pick the Saints just because their defense is a little bit more well-rounded and prepared for the kind of talent they're about to come up against. And I'm hoping Breeze and Kamara just have a monster of a game, to be honest with you. I'm not against Brady or anything. I just don't think he needs another ring.
Yeah. The past two matchups this year, the Saints outscored the Bucs 72-26.
Yeah.
Breeze has outplayed Brady in both of those games, and the Saints have been able to outrush them with something like the Bucs having like 9 carries for like 7 yards or something like that the last time these two teams played.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah. I think the Saints will win this game like they have the other two. I have the Saints winning 31-17.
Yeah, I think that's a great prediction as well. I think that's right on the money too. And Brady's going to come out and give it his all. He always does. He's great. Drew Brees is great. I just think it's a matter of the team as a whole at this point. The quarterbacks aren't going to be able to carry their whole team the whole time. I think what's really going to make a difference is if someone throws a pick, who's it going to be the first? And is that going to change the momentum of the game?
Yeah. And we've seen Brady throw picks in both of the other outcomes.
Right.
So.
Exactly. So I think that might play a big part, but I guess, like we said earlier, only time will tell.
Yeah. AJ, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, RJ. I love being here. Thanks, everyone, for coming out and watching me again.
Oh, yeah. And we'll be right back to talk about college football with 2 new guests in that national championship game after this break.
Here's a break in the action to talk about Chicago sports news from the past week. After 10 seasons with the Blackhawks, veteran goaltender Corey Crawford is retiring. Thank you for 2 cups, and I hope you enjoy retirement, Crawford. Former Cubs outfielder Kyle Schwarber and the Washington Nationals agreed to a 1-year, $10 million deal. Hopefully Kyle Schwarber can get back to his swing of things like he did for the Cubs in the World Series. The White Sox divisional rivals Cleveland Indians trade Francisco Lindor and Carlos Correa to the Mets for Emin Rosar, Andres Gimenez, Josh Wolf, and Isaiah Green. The Chicago White Sox saw that the Cleveland Indians made this move and are making a push to a World Series. Like I said, they saw the division get easier and they are making a push. The White Sox signed closer Liam Hendriks to a 3-year, $54 million deal. This is supposed to make the Chicago White Sox bullpen become elite, so let's see that happen. And hopefully the White Sox to be World Series contenders this year. And according to Ian Rappaport from the NFL Network, the Bears will not be re-signing Trubisky because he lost in the wildcard game. Now, I personally want to talk about this for a second. I do not think that what happened in the wildcard game in the past 2 seasons is Trubisky's fault. I think Matt Nagy is a lot to blame for that. He didn't like Trubisky as quarterback. He doesn't like Trubisky, and I think he set up a culture that made it look bad on Trubisky, and Matt Nagy is blaming a lot of people for his fault. I think that Matt Nagy should be the one leaving Chicago and not Trubisky. I think we need to bring someone in that will use Trubisky how they need to use Trubisky. and we need to invest in him because I'm gonna say it now. Trubisky's gonna leave the Bears. He's gonna go to another team, and he's gonna win a couple of Super Bowls for another team, and it's gonna be all of our faults because we let Matt Nagy stick his nose into business that didn't belong to him and let him call shots that he shouldn't have been able to call. So I'm calling it now. In 10 years, 15 years, whatever it is, Trubisky will retire 2 to 3 Super Bowl rings on his fingers, and it won't be for the Chicago Bears, unfortunately. That's all the Chicago sports news from the past week. I hope you enjoy this new segment on Reggie Sports Talk.
Thanks for joining us as we talk about college football national championship game. I have two guests. One goes to Ohio State and one goes to Alabama. I welcome Tyler from Ohio State and Drew from Alabama. Welcome to the show, friends.
What's up, RJ?
So, Drew, you had a little crazy outing last night I saw on your story. How was that celebration?
It was very socially distanced, and I saw all masks. It was a good time. It was a good time.
Yeah, that girl had her mask on when she bit you.
Yes, that was an interesting situation. I turned around and someone was clamped onto me like a piranha, but I didn't know the person, so we let it slide. It was interesting.
Yeah, you better go get that rabies shot.
Yeah.
And the COVID shot while you're at it.
If I can get my hands on one.
All right, Tyler, let's start with you. What were your initial thoughts of the game?
Well, starting the game, I was pumped. And then after we went 3-and-out in the first drive, I was like, uh-oh. Not only the 3-and-out, but Trey Sermon going down. I was like, this is going to be a rough one. And then Alabama scored right away. We kept fighting. We kept coming back, tied it. Alabama went up, tied it, and then we just let it slip. Just kept falling apart. And I don't think our offense was the problem at all. Like Trey Sermon not playing was definitely a big blow, but I feel like our offense was pretty steady. Like putting up 17 points in the first half was really good, but our defense just could not make a stop anywhere. Alabama's guys were just way too big, way too fast. It was like, I hate to say it against Ohio State, but it was like boys and men out there. Like Alabama just looked like better, like in every aspect against our defense, and that's just what it came down to. It's just that their defense could stop us, and we just couldn't stop them.
Yeah. Drew, I'm going to let you go to that. It's not an Ohio State combo and then Alabama's opinion.
So yeah, no, I agree. I was never super nervous because I knew Alabama I figured they would score almost every possession. So it's more about how many times could we stop Ohio State from scoring, because I thought it was going to end up looking like a Big 12 game, like a big shootout. But once we got like the stop on the first drive, I was like, okay, they're human. They're not going to go score every possession. And then you guys had it close for a while. But after seeing our offense make it look pretty easy going down the field, and you guys struggled a couple, and then in the end, you guys just couldn't put up as many points as you needed to at the end of the game. But 17, like you said, in the first half isn't a bad offensive first half, except you were playing Alabama, who does.
Exactly. There's Najee Harris and Devontae Adams just destroyed us.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Yeah. My thoughts on that was Ohio State's offense was good. Their defense stinks. We all agree. Justin Fields looks good for having a rib injury. I think he played very good. He took some chances, slid down earlier than he normally would have, so those ribs didn't get absolutely destroyed again. But I think he did pretty good. Having Sermon get hurt, I have to disagree with Tyler. I think that did hurt Ohio State. You could tell there was script that they had that they wanted to run with Sermon that they weren't able to run because he got injured. I also did not like what Luke Combs called in that Ohio State defense. I think he needs to be fired. He basically played prevent the whole game, and I could tell by his interviews that he was going to do something like that. He was basically like, oh, we need to stop the big play. We need to stop the big play. If you're talking about how you need to stop the big play and then couldn't stop the big play, I think you need to be fired because you said you were going to stop the big play and then didn't. I think it's horrible what they did. on defense because of that. I know they had some stars out with COVID, like 2 or 3 defensive linemen out with COVID, but I don't think that can do anything to make up. I don't think those 2 men would have made a difference in that game because of what Luke Combs was calling. I think Ohio State might be back in the playoffs next year. I think they should be. I'm not sure if Olave will be back or not, but they do have some young other receivers, and Teague will also be back, who played really good too.
I agree.
All right. Some very big NFL stars, Patrick Mahomes, some other guys we're talking about if Jalen Waddle should have played. Drew, as the resident Alabama fan, did you see those tweets and what do you think of them and should he have played?
We were actually talking about that. We were talking about how the pro guys are looking at it from like a professional, like monetary, money-wise perspective. Because I mean, he was taking a risk playing, and economically, the risk probably doesn't make sense because he already had a high draft position and he's already going to make lots of money. So him risking that to play a college football game doesn't make sense to people who are like pro-minded, basically, and that their whole mindset's kind of money. But I think when you're on a team and you guys have made it this far, I think it's really hard for you to watch your teammates play a game that you love to play when you think you can physically go out there and play. So, I mean, you can judge him for risking that future, but I think he should have played, and I personally think that it was the right choice, which is easy to say now because he didn't completely destroy his leg and prevent his career for the future. But I mean, the guy loves to play football, so he's not going to miss a national championship. And that's how I see it.
Yeah. Tyler, what do you think?
I agree a lot with what Drew said. The only thing is, though, he did not look okay running at all. That did not look right. That looked sketchy. I felt bad for him. I felt in pain watching him run. But I agree with Drew. It comes down to these kids are in college. Like, they trained all year for this, wanting to play in a national championship. Literally every college team, every player dreams of winning the national championship. And then to be told that you have to sit out, like, when you know yourself you can play is, like, just heartbreaking. So, like, of course I wouldn't want to sit out either. Like, I would want to play even if I was, like, not even 100, like 75%. I would want to play. So I don't blame him for wanting to play. I don't blame him for playing. I think he should have been a little more limited. I think they did limit him a little bit throughout the game. But I can't blame the kid for wanting to be out there and wanting to play for national championship, because I saw the guy in Alabama, I can't think of his name, who got a targeting call, and then he went to the sideline and just cried. Like,
Battle.
that's heartbreaking to be taken out of the game, like the national championship game, like real early, like that you've been training for all year to play in. I don't know. So I can't blame him for wanting to play, but I hope it doesn't come to bite him in the butt, like when he's looking at being drafted in the pros.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what both of you said. I don't blame him for wanting to play. I just don't know how smart it was to let him play. We can look at it this way. He didn't get injured that we know of, bigger or worse than he already was. So, okay, that's fine. But I just have to look at it, the what if factor. Like, he's playing on this game with a surgically repaired knee or ankle and then a high ankle sprain. Like, what if he were to hurt it more and then he falls back later in the draft and he loses some money, like the NFL players are saying? I agree with what a lot of them are saying. And I know they're looking at it as a pro making money thing, like Drew was saying, but what if? Like, what if he got injured? What if he blew his leg out even worse and had to miss a full season? All of a sudden he's not drafted, or he's drafted in like the 5th or 6th round. That's a lot of money difference between the 1st round and the 6th round.
Yeah, that 2-yard drag route or whatever he ran when he was running from the left to the right side of the field and tried to turn upfield, he was limping for the second half of the route. I was pretty scared for him.
Even before the game, he was limping in warm-ups. I was like, geez, hope he's all right.
Yeah.
All right. I got a little bit of a surprise for you guys. I have one more question that I didn't tell either of you about, because I want your initial thoughts right away. I'll go first since I'm making you guys come up with this right away, and I planned it a little bit. Who are your top 5 quarterbacks taken in the NFL draft this year? 1 through 5. Who do you think goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 quarterback wise? Like I said, I'll go first.
All right.
For me, it depends who's Jacksonville's coach. If it ends up being Urban Meyer, I think Justin Fields might get taken before Trevor Lawrence. My reasoning behind that is Urban Meyer was Ryan Day's protege, and he basically can have whatever information he wants about Justin Fields that no one else will probably be able to get because of his connections to Ohio State. And also, Urban Meyer's offense is very similar to Ryan Day's offense, and we saw Justin Fields succeed very well in that. So I say if Urban Meyer's the head coach of Jacksonville, Justin Fields will go 1. If not, Trevor Lawrence will go 1. And whichever one doesn't go 1 will go 2, in my opinion. And then I think it will be Wilson from BYU, Mac Jones from Alabama, and then Kyle Trask from Florida. What do you guys think of that?
I guess I can go next. I don't know about Urban drafting Justin Fields first if he would be the coach of the Jaguars, because like there's a select few people that think Justin Fields is better than Trevor Lawrence, and even if Urban believes that, I think most of the country believes that Trevor Lawrence is better than Justin Fields. So for him to go and draft Justin Fields might be, as his first act as head coach, might be like it might not sit well with a lot of people, especially Jaguar fans, because I feel like the majority of Jaguar fans love Clemson because like they're really close to each other. So I think I'm gonna stick with Trevor Lawrence going number 1, regardless of who the coach is. I just think that a lot of people think that he's the better quarterback, but we haven't seen what has happened in the Combine yet. So usually that's when things spice up. But Trevor Lawrence number 1, Justin Fields number 2, the BYU quarterback, what's his name? Zach Wilson number 3, Mac Jones number 4, and I'm gonna go with Trey Lance. I think mine might be like almost exactly the same as your top 5, but that's what I'm going with.
Personally, I don't know a ton about the BYU guys, so that's hard for me to speak on. I just haven't like watched a ton of BYU football. But I've seen his stats, and like his stats look pretty good. He was up there in like the beginning of the year. They were talking about how he looked pretty good. On the first pick issue, I think it's hard for anyone to go out and pick Justin Fields over Trevor Lawrence, even if he is a better quarterback or you have some insider information that tells you he's going to be fantastic. As a Bears fan, we've learned our lesson a little bit. I think picking from what it's hard to say he's had a better record, but just from looking and watching him play, he looks like a special player. So I think it's hard for you to ignore him just the way he's been performing. I feel like it would be hard to go against that and make a risky pick, especially if you're a new coach. To pick against the chalk like that's kind of a unnecessary risk in terms of job security. And then Mac Jones, you had him at 4, RJ. I don't know a ton about the BYU guy, but Mac Jones has been throwing deep balls absolutely on the dot, and I know he has incredible receivers around him. But depending on what kind of offense he gets put into or what the draft position looks like, if he's still on the board and he's on a team that's not a West Coast offense and he's more in like a Ben Roethlisberger role, then I think he'll just excel at that because I think he's the same person as Big Ben with less off the field press. But he's a pocket passer and he just doesn't miss the target very often. So the other guy, I think he's pretty mobile from BYU. But if Mac can get in a pocket passer position. And then the number 5, I don't really have a number 5 guy. I just was more focused on the team that won the Natty, but
All right, you want to talk about your Natty team, Drew? I got one more question just for you.
Awesome.
In a mock draft I saw earlier today, it had the Chicago Bears taking Mac Jones with the 20th pick. What do you think? Should they take Mac Jones? Do you think he would excel in Chicago with their offense? Is that type of offense you think he needs, or what?
The reason Mac has been able to perform so well is because he's been around like great receivers, but as well as he's not pressured all the time. Mitchell Trubisky has been fighting for his life back in the quarterback position for the past couple of years. So if Mac could get a quick release going, I mean, I think he could be good, but I think if you got him behind a good offensive line like the Cowboys or something, I think he could be a top 5 quarterback just because he's going to need the protection. I mean, you guys saw him run last night. He's not exactly white lightning, but I mean, he's more of a pocket passer, so I would be a little concerned, but I would never be mad to have such a precise thrower on my team.
I don't know. I think I'm just going to chime in real quick. I think the Bears should keep Mitch Trubisky. He's the Nickelodeon's valuable player. I mean, no one's ever won that award before. MVP. I mean,
Mahomes
that's worthy of a contract extension, in my opinion.
Yeah, I made my opinions known earlier in this video. You guys haven't heard them yet, but you will hear them. What my opinions were about Mitch Trubisky in the Chicago Bears and what they should do. Guys, thanks for joining me today. Tyler, thank you. I know it was a tough loss last night. Thank you for coming on and talking about it. Drew, I know you probably partied a little bit. Go get that shoulder checked out. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, RJ.
All right. See you guys. Thanks for joining us on this mega episode of Reggie Sports Talk. I hope you all enjoyed these games as much as I did. Did you like this video and on having multiple topics? Should I do this again? Let me know in the comments down below. Please like and share this video. Have a great week. Thank you for watching.